Sean Morris here, taking a look at Saturday's $200,000 guaranteed late pick 4 at the Big A. And we're going to kick off in race 6. It's going to have an approximate post of 320. We had been doing 10 race cards on Saturday. We're going to have a 9 race card, so it will be in race 6. Keep that in mind. And race 6 is going to be a $25,000 claimer. Non-winners of 3, going a mile and a 16th on the inner dirt. And I think 2 horses we have to talk about first here are 2 stretch outs. And that's the horse on the rail, Point Hope, as well as America's Guest, who in my mind both get back out to more suitable distance in this race. And Point Hope in particular, I thought he ran pretty well last time. He was going 6 furlongs. It's not really a distance he wants to go. And he was just way behind the pace. It wasn't even a particularly fast pace, but he was way behind the pace. He made a pretty good, solid run in that race. You go back 3 starts ago, yes, it was against Lesser. Yes, it was actually 1 turn at Belmont. But going a mile and a 16th, he absolutely destroyed a field. I really feel like getting back out to this distance is what he wants. And the same goes for America's Guest in this race, for David Jacobson. He's gone 6 furlongs in his past 2 starts. He just doesn't have too much early speed. He gets himself out of those races early and just finds himself with a little too much to do. His turf races actually around 2 turns are not bad, and he is a lot more tactical in those races as you would expect from a horse like him. And so I think the 2 turns is really going to be to his benefit in here. Another horse we have to talk about in this race, I don't love him just because of the form he's been in, but I think you have to include him in some capacity, and that's Gold Hawk, who has back class. He's a first-time gelding in this race. The Steve Asmussen barn is doing very well at this meet. He's one you got to include, but again, the form he's in is pretty dubious right now, so he's going to have to improve as a first-time gelding if he's going to have a say. But again, he does have some good back races to draw from, so that's not without question. Moving on to race 7, and this is a state-bred allowance race. Non-winners of 1, going a mile on dirt, and actually, there's a horse here as far as class goes that's an absolute standout, and that's Full of Mine, who's coming out of far superior races to what he's going to meet here. He actually ran pretty well against stakes caliber New York breds last time in the Alex M. Robb, and even the start before that, he put in a run at the head of the lane of the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. It actually looked like he might make an impact in that race. He didn't, but he still ran credibly. He ran 6, beaten 7 lengths. I mean, this horse, again, you look at his company lines, and he lays over this field. But, you know, there's also something to him where I don't know if you want to fully trust him in this race. And he's also showing up as a first-time gelding, which is a little odd, just considering he's run pretty well in all of his recent starts. So again, it's a tough call with Full of Mine. Maybe you want to press him a little. I don't think you want to totally stand alone with him. And a horse I think you might want to back up with is Brimstone, first off the claim for John Terranova, who's a little cold at this meet. But Brimstone ran really well last time. He was loose on the lead, but I thought he ran a very solid race. And also that was a race where he was offered for a tag for the first time. So I was a little skeptical of him just because of that, because he had seemed to have a lot of potential, and he made good on that potential. And in my mind, he took a step forward, and he did it on a dry track. And I walked away impressed with that effort. And another horse I think you have to back up with in this race is Beyond the Green. He came off a layoff last time and ran very well at 6 furlongs. He actually had some trouble. You're not going to see it in the comment line, but he had some trouble in the stretch. He was putting in a good run and got stopped inside the 8th pole along the rail. And he's probably stretching back out to a better distance. He had some success last year going 2 turns. So he is one I think you definitely want to back up with. But again, the race seems to go through Full of Mine, and I'm very curious to see how he runs in that race. Moving on to the day's feature, the Haynesfield for New York breds. And this is a $100,000 stakes race. And the horse we have to talk about here is Royal Posse, who in my mind, I know the figures don't necessarily back this up, but in my mind, he is a cut above what this field has to offer. I think he's coming out of better races than what he's going to meet here. And last time, I thought he ran very well behind Majestic Affair and the Jazzle Stakes. And even before that, in the Claiming Crown, that's a race that has been very, very live, or horses coming out of it have been very, very live. And he took care of that field with relative ease. I just think he's in career form right now, obviously, but is superior to what he's going to meet here. And that's saying something because he is going to meet a very talented New York bred in Saratoga Snacks. Nothing wrong with Saratoga Snacks. He ran very well again in the Alex M. Robb. He almost always shows up. This is a very admirable horse. But again, I just feel like Royal Posse is a cut above him right now. We'll see. Another fascinating race, though, on this Saturday program. And then closing it out in race 9, 2 horses I feel pretty confident going with in this leg are Buckleberry Gray, who actually ran well last time. He got a little bit of a wide trip, and that field was probably a little better than what he's meeting today, too. And then even the start before that, it was an allowance race at Penn National. He had some trouble in that race, and I thought ran pretty well. Mike Pino has been on absolute fire at this meet. This is a horse I feel pretty confident in, and I'm going to use him with Nevada Kid, who is also coming out of a better race, in my opinion. Probably a much better race. This is only a $10,000 claimer today, and he had a little bit of trouble there. He kind of got squeezed out of a spot early in the race, wide around the turn, stayed on okay. I thought it was a good effort, and it was refreshing to see, too, because he was a horse with back class. He'd come off a long layoff in the fall of last year and really hadn't been able to recapture that former glory. Well, his last race, in my mind, was a step in the right direction, and I think it's going to make him very tough in this race. And that's what I'm going to be playing for this late pick 4. Again, $200,000 guaranteed starting in race 6. Good luck if you're playing.